All right, everyone, welcome to our third lesson about lists. We're going to talk about how to remove values in a list and duplicating the list, which are two common problems and where people have a hard time doing so. Okay, so I just want to remind you again, lists are mutable. So since they're immutable, we are able to mutate it and remove values and possibly have some errors with copying, which we're going to see in a bit. So one of the methods that exist for us to help us remove is the remove method. We're gonna give it one argument, which is the target argument or target value. It's gonna look for this value inside a list. If it finds it, it's gonna remove the first occurrence of it. So if the target value doesn't exist, it will produce an error. So an example here, I have a list, apple, orange, kiwi, honeydew. And I say, hey, a list, remove apple. It's going to remove that and shift everything over. So print A is going to give us orange, kiwi, and honeydew. Okay. There's also the pop function, all right, or a method, which stems from something called a stack or a queue, which we will learn way later on. But what we'll do is that it will remove a value at a location, right? So if you don't set this value, it will always just pop and remove the last value, but it also returns the value. So it's very cool because you can actually remove a value and assign it to a variable after you do the removal. Okay. So if I look at a list is equal to apple, orange, kiwi, honeydew, and result this variable a list.pop without any argument inside, it's gonna always remove the last value. Right. So result is becomes honeydew because it returns that value. It grabs it, removes it, and gives it the result. Now, for result 2, if I say, hey, I want to remove pop 1, 0, 1, so orange is there, so it's going to remove orange and give that value to result 2. Okay, so a list should be now just apple and kiwi because we removed honeydew and orange. Okay, now it is key that you listen to this advice for new programmers. Okay, you do not remove during a for loop traversal of a list. Okay, if you're doing for loop traversals of an index, it should be okay, but 100%, I don't want you to do any removal inside a for loop. Okay, because right now we have a list is equal to apple, orange, kiwi, and honeydew, and we're saying, well, for value in a list, so value is going to represent apple, orange, kiwi, honeydew. Okay, it's going to loop 4 times. It's going to represent each item in our list right now. And we're saying, well, hey, if value is equal to kiwi, we're going to do remove. Okay. And this is a common code that a lot of beginner Python programs will write. Right. And this is really bad practice because, okay, what a for loop does is it never rechecks what a list is. Okay. It will never check it. So once it gets to here, it will remove it. Okay. Now honeydew's back here. Right. Your a list has been modified. You shouldn't be removing anything. You are damaging the integrity of the list that you're looping. If it was a while loop, we get to go back and check what the a list is and all that stuff, right? You can write a more sophisticated condition. So if you're thinking removal, I recommend that you do a while loop, right? Don't write anything like this because we're removing a value and it ruins the integrity of the list that you're looping through. And who knows, if there were multiple kiwis, like what would happen? Like our list keeps on shrinking and shrinking, right? For example, if this was all kiwis, right, and they all removed, at some point your list is going to be empty and some crazy things will happen to your code and it can crash your code. So I highly recommend please do not use the remove or don't try to remove anything when you're looping through a list using a for loop. Let's talk about list duplication, where you have a list and you want to duplicate parts of it or the entirety of it. Okay? So what I want you to do is look at this code, copy it onto Replit, and pause my video and try this out. Okay. So we're taking a list of this, and we're saying, hey, B list is gonna be A list. That's I want a copy of it. Okay. And I want to add 17 into a list and see what happens. Okay. So pause this video, try it out. Okay. All right, welcome back. So your output should have been that both A list and B list should get 17 at the back, right? You're saying, well, why is that happening, right? Did I type something wrong? Or I only appended 17 to A list. How does B list have it? Okay. And this is the nature of how lists were implemented in the language of Python. because lists are immutable. Lists are mutable values. Whenever we say, hey, variable, go to or be a list, what we're rather saying is we're not copying a list, but rather saying b list, you're going to just look at the memory location of where a list is stored. Okay. So if a list gets modified, b list is following that memory values. Okay. So it will also contain that value of 17 at the end. Okay. So because these two are now linked, so anything you do to b list, it'll affect a list, and anything you do to a list will affect b list. Okay. Because lists are stored in memory, and when we say a variable is equal to another list, we're not copying it, rather we're telling it to go to that memory location. So if I wanted to fix this, okay, what we want to do is use dot copy. Okay, there's a method that allows us to do a full copy of a list. So if I have a list and b list is going to be the copy of a list, we're going to do a list dot copy. And then if I append 17 to a list, right, b list will stay the same, whereas a list will have this new value of 17. So today we talked about removal and how to not to use remove in for loop, and we talked about how to do a copy of a list, right? I wanted to maintain the integrity of a copy, but not have my variables linked to each other, so we had to use the dot copy method. By now, you've learned all the basic skills of manipulating lists in Python, and this is going to help you so much when solving a lot of list related or database related problems. Thank you for watching. Stay classy.